Thank you for joining us. This is Paul Wilson.
Chris Emke.
And Justin Tyson.
And you're listening to the Diesel Performance Podcast. Guys, today we know the audio is going to be a little bit different, even more so than usual. We've been, like everybody, I think, just having some of these really common internet, Zoom, internet meeting, internet phone call type of problems today. But we're going to make it work no matter what. Right, guys?
Oh, yeah.
Chris, you have been busy on the phones over at Duramax Tuner. We are just coming off of the biggest turbo sale we've ever done over there. And now we're kicking off this month with a whole nother record-setting huge sale. Why don't you tell the listeners a little bit about what they can look forward to in May over at Duramax Tuner?
Yeah, so, want to be creative in these times. We want to keep things as upbeat as possible. So, we started off, last month with a really successful turbo sale. A lot of podcast listeners were really receptive to that, which was nice to see. And we figured let's keep that kind of alive. So we're doing EasyLink tuning, which we use EasyLink for a majority as a platform for a lot of the trucks that we cover. So whether you have a 2011 to 2016 LML Duramax, you have a 2013 to 2020 Cummins, or you have a 2013 to 2019 Ford EcoBoost, guys, we're offering 15% off retail on any of our support pack and hardwares with EasyLink. And then one of the other things that's really cool in the mix here is we decided to do a 15% discount this month on 5 to 6 speed conversion. So you 01 to 05, Allison guys with your Duramaxes that have a 5-speed trans, we offer a conversion kit. It's a valve body and a trans control module. It's a plug-and-play system, and it makes your Allison 1005 speed a 6-speed. So really, really responsive. A lot of response. Wow, a lot of responses currently. We sent out that email and being on the phones today. So I'm really excited to see how this whole thing shapes up, and for the month of May.
That's right. Hey, other big announcements, guys. We do also have a winner for our 6-liter giveaway contest. How cool is that?
That's awesome.
Yeah,
Nice.
Pumped, right? Guys, we looked all over. God, we had so many good entries. We have so many guys who I really feel like, man, this truck it is something that there's a passion for. And that was really, really clear as I went through and I read all of your guys' submissions and just everything that you guys are into. I really feel like, man, there were some good ones out there. But there had to be one that just really, really caught my eye. And I'm pulling it up here. I want to say congratulations to Alec Bowen. Alec, you just won yourself a free turbo. Congratulations.
Nice.
Woohoo, some clapping. Okay, so he says, I work for a Famaco heavy truck center. I am always working on 6.0s. Everyone hates owning and working on them, but honestly, I enjoy them. Very good platform to work on. I bought one thinking I was going to be working on it all the time, but it's been great. I would love to win this turbo and give great feedback. I was interested in this turbo when Jim Rendon introduced it before it was officially launched. I bought my 6-liter stock and did the studs and the heads just to feel safe. I installed the air dog to ensure proper fuel pressure since these injectors are so finicky. I pulled the trans and rebuilt it with a DIY kit from RevMax. I'm wanting to get a set of 175/30 injectors once I do a turbo upgrade. I'm 21 years old, and I've been an auto diesel enthusiast for the last 5 years. I have gone to school for Ford and have my diesel, auto transmission, and diesel performance certifications. I enjoy working on these motors and love owning one. I put my truck to work, and on the weekends, dirt drag with it too. If I win this turbo, I promise you guys, I will have some great product testing results. Yeah, this one just really spoke to me. I remember what it was like being young and being passionate and being an enthusiast. And it's it's sometimes when you get into contests like these, I guess that's what caught my eye is I found somebody who had a truck, who used the truck, who I felt like met all the criteria of what we were looking for out of such a big 6-liter fan. And what really spoke to me is it is true. So many guys who work on them won't fucking drive them. And here he is. He loves it. He works on it. He drives it. He has that passion. I want to see that passion grow. I want to see Alec in diesel performance for a really long time. So that's why I think, that's exactly why we picked Alec as a winner for our contest.
Cool. Well, we'll be following up with him then on that and getting the turbo headed his way, right, Paul?
Absolutely correct. Yeah. Alec, we will be contacting you. We'll get everything taken care of there. The next piece of news, of course, following that, guys, as of today, the 6-liter Stealth 67 G2 Turbo is for sale. So if that's something that you've been hearing us talk about and you think, hey, that might be right for me, you can check it on out over at DuramaxTuner.com or give Chris a call. Chris, how can they reach you to ask some questions about that turbo?
Yeah, so CMkey at DuramaxTuner.com, or you could reach me by phone, 815-568-7920, extension 2121.
Awesome, man. Justin, you're on the show and today, which I always appreciate when you have a chance to kind of come on and be a co-host with us. Why don't you tell our listeners a little bit about LML injectors and when they get them from our favorite vendor for injectors, and that's, of course, Exergy Performance.
Yeah, so Exergy has LML injectors, just like, the previous, RPO codes before that, 30%, 60%, they go all the way up. They'll do whatever, it's Exergy. Paul and I got to see slews of nozzles galore there, injectors. Like I said before, the place is just immaculate and professional as hell. So, yeah. They got what you need there for LML trucks with injectors, replacements, anything like that.
Absolutely correct. Chris, another vendor, of course, and sponsor of the show, somebody who keeps this show going, is WC Fab. Now, guys, recently we've talked about their powder coating. We've talked about their coolant tanks. What are some other things, or maybe another product that's jumping to mind for you, Chris? What else do we go to for WC Fab?
A couple things I've been playing around with lately are their action bars and some intercooler tubes. It's really common, in the Duramax space and in the Cummins space, to upgrade the intercooler pipes to go with a little bit bigger, less bending, if you will, so that the air has a easier area to flow through. Cool. Complements the powder coating, of course. And then the traction bars, the traction bar help eliminate some axle wrap, help with harnessing that power to the rear tires a little bit more efficiently. One of the things that it's typical WC Fab fashion is fit and finish. So how do those components fit on the truck? Did you have to modify a beautiful pipe that's powder coated a special color, and you have to take a hammer and whack at it to offer better clearance or fit better? That's something that's pretty consistent with WC Fab to have that really nice fit finish. WC Fab can literally be your one-stop shop for all your custom piping needs, traction bars, of course, powder coating, and all the little bells and whistles that you can do to polish up that truck to make it look a little extra nicer.
Yeah, absolutely. Speaking of nice things, I think one of the nice things that we don't often talk about is nice things that come out of Facebook, nice things that come out of online forums and online groups and things like that. And that's why I thought today's interview was really special. It's something that really stood out to me. I got a chance to sit down, or I guess I got a chance to get on the phone and talk with Joey Hull and Corey Fedor out of Kansas City. They're going to tell you a lot more about it and about what. So often we talk about the shit that comes out of Facebook, right? We talk about all of the negative stuff. We talk about the problems in the forums and how it's really hard to sift through and find good information or make real connections. But every once in a while, man, you come across a story where you meet a couple of good guys who met through a Facebook group, who then end up starting their own local, more community orientated Facebook group. And then they use it not as a pissing contest or a place to just, have a dick measuring contest, but they actually use it to go out and help real people in their local community. And those are the type of stories that I think really speak to me. So if you guys are cool with it, let's kick it over to Corey Fedor and Joey Hull from Kansas City, and we'll hear a little bit more about what these guys are up to these days. All right, listeners, now it's time for your favorite part of the show. That's where listeners get to come on the show and talk about their trucks. It's our newest segment called Listener Ride Review. Today, I have a very special setup. I have on Corey Fedor. How the hell are you?
Doing great, Paul. How are you?
Doing good. Thank you so much for being here, along with Joey Hull. Joey, how the hell are you?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I'm doing wonderful, man. It's so cool to have two listeners come on and do a show together. We've been breaking everybody up for one at a time, but I think you guys not only are doing cool stuff with your trucks, but you're doing cool stuff with the truck community. And I think that's really important. I'm really excited to talk about that. But before we dive in too far, everybody gets started the same way around here. You got to tell us about how you got your start in diesel performance. Corey, why don't you go ahead and go first?
All right. So my start started about 7 years ago when I bought my second gen from a neighbor of mine. He had the truck about as long as I can remember growing up. And I remember I went up to him one day. I was about 18 years old. And I'm like, hey, if you ever sell this truck, you make sure I'm the first person you let know. And so about a year later, he called me up and he's like, Corey, I'm ready to sell the truck. So I said, all right, give me a week and I'll come get it. So I scrounged up the cash and I went over there and I brought home my 98.5 Dodge 24 valve with a 5-speed manual.
Yeah. Yeah. I love those trucks. My co-host Chris, of course, well-known avid fan of this setup, that second gen. Joey, how about you? Where'd you get started?
Mine started pretty early on. My granddad had an 84 6.9, and I don't know what was done to that thing, but it was tuned up pretty well for whatever you can do to an IDI, and it smoked a lot, and it was a 4-speed, and it was cool, man. And then my dad followed suit and got an 85 6.9, and that was early 90s, and I mean, I remember those were pretty cool trucks. And then I kind of grew up a little bit more, and don't you know, there's faster than a 6.9 IDI, so I went ahead and got a 7.3 Power Stroke. That was my first diesel that I owned, and then I got an 04.5 LOY, and then I loved that truck, and then I went back to a 7.3 Power Stroke, and then rocked that for about a year, and now I'm in my 2013 6.7 Power Stroke.
Yeah. A lot of fun in those too. Okay, you've kind of been all over the board with it, and like to hear that you guys together collectively have had a very wide range of experience with diesel trucks, all the way from the old to the new. We're going to be diving into those trucks and talking about your guys' builds here very shortly. But first, I wanted to talk a little bit more about the Facebook group you guys are involved in, and what are some of the cool things you guys have been doing. Who wants to tackle that?
I'll go ahead and take that, Paul. So a few years ago, there was a very large group here in the Midwest, and me and Corey actually met through that group. But we developed a friendship, and then we were looking at the diesel scene here in the Midwest, and especially Kansas City, and we were looking at it and realizing there wasn't really any solid local support, I guess you could say, or network community. Exactly, it wasn't a solid community or any place for everyone to meet up. So we went ahead and formed Diesels of Kansas City, and we started, building that. And that was, it was a lot of work in the beginning. It takes a lot, contrary to popular belief, it takes a lot to keep a page viable and healthy. And we spent a lot of time developing friendships with the members and secondly, the shops. And we really wanted to give people a place to, where they could say, hey, I'm fairly new to the scene, or, I've been in for a while, but I've switched brands, but what's something I can do to get a little bit more power, or what's a mod I can do for this, or, most importantly, where can I take my truck to have this work done to it? So that's something me and Corey have really worked hard at, really all of our admins on the page, is developing good personal relationships with the shops and the members, and that's really helped. Then as we started having more meets and events, we kind of started realizing, hey, we've got enough money to dump in for parts and fun stuff and whatnot. Like, why don't we just give a little bit extra and kind of give back to our community and give to people who need it? So we've helped a few kiddos with some pretty significant needs over the last few years. We reached out. I think one of our first ones was Caden. He was a young man that had a brain tumor, and he wanted to have just kind of a truck rally for his birthday. And so we kind of got the word out there with the help of some people, and then it took off like wildfire. The next thing we knew, there was people driving in from Iowa, neighboring states, and all that good stuff. And we had a really large meet and a big showing for him. So then we ended up doing a few events to support him and his family, financially and otherwise. And we pretty much helped out as much as we could up until we couldn't anymore. So that's kind of been something. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, I think that's awesome that not only did you guys kind of meet together in the general national diesel, large group scene, which I think a lot of us do, but then you really decided hey, we need something local. I like that word there, Corey. We need a community. We need guys who hey, if I need to borrow a wrench, here's a group of guys who actually live near me. They could help me change a tire. They could help me, with a wrench or something like that. But to actually use your guys' Facebook group for good. And not just a pissing contest. I just want to say kudos, man. Great job. I'm impressed.
Yeah, that's something we both agree on, is we've definitely tried to keep the group focused and on track. Obviously, everybody has their fun from time to time, but at the end of the day, if somebody needs help, or, it's hey, I don't know what I'm doing here or whatnot, we'll try to get them the help we need, whether it's somebody commenting and saying, oh, hey, I did this one time before, or we get them to a reliable, reputable shop that, can get them taken care of.
Sure. Well, Corey, you got to come and see your shit's breaking down all the time. I'm just joking. Tell us what are some of the things that having this group has helped you out with?
Oh boy. All the work I've done on my truck, I've done it all myself, and I kind of take a little bit of pride in that. So there's been plenty of times where I've went on the site or on the Facebook page and just started asking questions about this and that, injectors, tuning. So when I first got the truck, the MM3 was not a thing. So I've learned a little bit about that from the page. And then I've learned about, I guess I can't think of anything specific. It's funny you said it breaks down all the time. It's not even broke in. Honestly, it's only got 197,000 miles on it. And I have a work vehicle, so the poor truck actually has just been sitting in the yard for quite a while now, which just rusting away.
Oh no, you're breaking my heart over here.
Yeah,
Come on now.
It stinks.
Take care of that thing. Essentials, man. No, listen. Everyone knows I love those old VP trucks. I think they're a lot of fun. That second gen is it's a great platform to learn on and to build from, and it gives you a lot of experience for when you get into some of the higher horsepower stuff down the road. It really can kind of help open up your eyes to hey, this is how I want my truck to drive. And that's something that I think I talk a lot about on this show. And I always like to hear some feedback from our listeners. Now, you both have very different setups. Who wants to give us a rundown on their truck first?
Go ahead, Corey.
So we'll start with the Dodge then. So I've had that one the longest. So I've had it 7 years now. And as soon as I got it, I started just reading about anything I could find. And, like any forum you go on, you have to sort through the good and the bad. And I started off with, I think I bought a used Smarty. And then, so now the truck's, rolls some coal, which is cool because I'm at the time 19, 20 years old. And
yeah,
that's what you want to do when you're that age. And so I got the Smarty on it. Then I think I went and got injectors, and then after that, you got to put a clutch in them because the stock clutch won't hold that. So then I put a dual disc clutch in it, and then I think I bought a used HX40 from somebody, put that on. Then I was doing more reading, so then I went and did head studs, valve springs, and push rods. And then the final stage of the process was a kind of a mistake because also I was learning at the time, and I went and bought an S369 and put that on it. And you want to talk about a smoky, laggy pig. Oh my gosh.
Let me just say I loved racing Corey because I definitely had him off the line.
Yeah. Yeah, no, when she lights, I mean, she goes. But, you got to wait for it to light. I'll tell you that. So I'm still learning about it, too. I probably will take that turbo off someday. It's not, I don't know. It's still a truck, so I'd like to be able to pull a trailer, but at the moment I cannot pull a trailer with that truck unless it's like a lawnmower.
Now, you mentioned that truck because you also have an LLY, I believe.
Yep, that's the family mobile. That's the crew cab. So I bought the LOY about a year and a half ago from a friend of mine, and because it's crew cab, it's leather. The cruise control works, the AC works. It rides a lot better, and you can fit a car seat in the back. My wife and I had a baby a year, and she's 19 months, and we've got one on the way. So car seats in the crew cab are way better than the extended cab.
Well, congrats, first of all.
Yeah,
no, I hear you. I love that. I love when the LLY is the family vehicle, and you're like, man, the where I'm going to put all of my eggs in my basket for reliability is that old trusty LLY out there. But honestly, I mean, I poke at the LLYs, but we all know that once you do some basic upgrades to them, they actually are very reliable trucks. Have you done anything to that one so far? Where have we gotten on that?
Speaking of basic upgrades, as soon as I got it, I didn't know anything about really any Duramax platform. And so just like the Dodge, I start reading. And I come across this one form. It's like, hey, if you're blowing coolant out of your overflow tank, your head gaskets are probably bad. And if you let the truck sit overnight and the upper radiator hose is hard in the morning still, your head gasket's probably bad. So sure enough, I'm like, well, son of a bitch, I bought this truck with bad head gaskets on it, and I didn't even know what I was doing. So, like I said earlier, I like to do all my own work. So I started saving, and I started reading, and I started learning. And 3 months later, I was at my friend's house and pulling the cab and putting a set of head gaskets on it.
Oh my God.
So yeah, I did. I've done. It's still got a stock trans, so it's not tuned real hard, but it's. I put head studs in it when I was there, and then I put a fast on it while I was in there, and I put a 10-blade Casey Turbos exhaust wheel in it, so she whistles like a 6.0 now. Really, it sounds actually pretty cool.
Sure.
Yeah, it's a fun truck. If I want to go fast, I'll drive the Dodge. But if I just want to go to church, then I'll take the LOY.
Corey,
I love it.
Whirly goodies on there too, don't you?
Oh yeah, that's right. I did buy a Whirly Y bridge and a air intake, and the whole high flow bundle I got on it. I put that on whenever I had the heads off, because a Y bridge in the truck would have been a bitch. So I made sure I did all that good stuff. The cab was off of it, and it was all easy to get to.
Good call. Joey, how about you? Run us through, man. I think you left off. You're driving a 13 Power Stroke.
Yes, sir. I was going to rewind a little bit and go back to the LLY that I had. Like Corey, I was about at the same age when I got mine, and it was an extended cab long bed, and I bought it with 450,000 miles on it, and all it had was a rebuilt turbo. What could go wrong there, right? So
yeah.
I bought a handheld Diablo Sport tuner, and of course I loaded the hottest tune on it that I could. I'll tell you what, man, that thing had a 35-foot gooseneck behind it. every week that I had it loaded down. And looking back on it, someone had to have studded that thing, because there's no way that I did what I did with that truck and didn't blow heads. I mean, it just so when I first started kind of getting back into the diesel scene, everybody's like, "Oh, LLY is the worst Duramax ever made," and I'm like, "No, I had a great experience with mine. I took it all the way to 550,000 miles before I sold it, and I'm
Holy
stock
hell.
trans, rebuilt turbo and new injectors, and that was it." But going back up to the current, I got a 2013 6.7. I bought it about 2 years ago. It had about 200,000 miles on it, and it was all stock. So anyone who pays attention to the podcast, especially the 6.7 episode, knows I'm about to learn a painful lesson in the early 6.7 turbos. I loaded it had some tuning on it that I wasn't impressed with, but I mean, it did the trick. So I one night just decided I was going to upgrade everything. I bought an Easy Link. I bought some Chaos tuning, and I loaded it to the truck. And the next day we were going to the big street car takeover, and me and another diesel started playing, and I heard a soft pop noise and then kind of a grinding, rattling noise, and a bunch of smoke, and yep. So that kind of forced the upgrading that followed. So but of course, you know, I had to hold on to my pride, so I limped it to my brother's house. Fortunately, he lived about 5 miles away, and then in the process of doing that, shredded the wheel and sent a bunch of goodies up into the motor.
Right.
So
Right.
we put a shop here that I use is Precision Diesel Works, and they did all the work to my truck. We did a Casey Turbos 15 plus conversion kit on it with the 15-16 housing and the 6x6 SXE style wheel. And then I did the 15 plus pump on it, did the cold side charge pipe. I'd already done that, found that one out. So then we got everything together, and I was driving it literally the next weekend, and then sitting at a stoplight, laid in it. Me and another buddy were kind of messing around and stopped at the next stoplight, and it was running funny. And so I real quick ran my scanner, scanned my codes, and it said it was having a compression issue. So my buddy came down, picked it up, took it up to the shop, we took everything down. Sure enough, some of the debris got caught by the valves and bent the valves, so I was losing compression.
Oh.
But the motor was fine. So we just went ahead, put new valves in it, and did the heads. We didn't stud the heads because the torque yield's so high on them already.
Sure.
He put everything back together, and then he said, he called me, and he said, "Hey man, your tuning's garbage." And I'm like, "Hey now, it's a lot better than what I had. Let me keep it for a couple more days and play with it." So he worked with Chaos Tuning and fine-tuned my tuning and tuned my transmission. And when I got that truck back, it was a whole new monster. I was definitely unprepared for how much just the turbo and some good tuning opened that truck up. So some painful lessons learned along the way, but lessons learned.
Jesus. No wonder you two are friends. You guys have both literally done it the hard way at every turn.
Exactly.
This is just misery loves company. I get it. This is how I do every single project in my life. So there's no judgment being passed here. 100%. I've made all these mistakes as well. I get it. So where do you guys go from here? Corey, what is it, the second gen sounds like this is your fun truck. Are you going to drag race it down the road? You going to go big power? You going to hit dyno events, sled pull? You guys are in the Midwest. Are we sled pullers? What's the goal?
Well, I wouldn't say that. I do enjoy racing it. Of course, you're racing a 5-speed from, if you're going from a start, your numbers are never going to be worth the darn anyways because you got to shift your own gears. So, I'll get you from 50 roll or something like that on the
It's not a thing. There's no 50 roll.
Yeah, I know. That's what everybody tells me. So that's why I just keep it at home and don't race it too much. And
I love it.
I've never done a truck pull or a sled pull. I think I'd like to, though. Eventually, maybe when I replace my rusty U-bolts and probably put some new U-joints in the thing. somewhere, but I don't know. I would like to do that. The turbo is my next thing on the list. I need to get something that's a little bit more user friendly.
Yeah.
So
I hear that. How about you, Joey? What's the truck for?
The truck at this point is kind of a daily. So my buddy that's helped me do all the work to my truck, he his favorite thing to do is to try to safely squeeze as much horsepower as possible out of a stock platform. So we're going to go with a fast next on mine, and then kind of see where that goes to. Probably just do some racing with it. I know when I first got the truck first year, I dynoed it, and it dynoed at like 346 horsepower. And then last year, after everything done with it, upgrading tuning and everything, I put down 506 horsepower, 1045 torque. So I saw a huge jump in performance. So right now we're just we're running out of fuel on the top end. So we're gonna add an aftermarket fast to it and see where we go from there. And it's funny you mentioned the dyno events.
Yeah.
We actually yearly we host an annual dyno day. Diesel of Kansas City does. So everybody always gets to throw their truck up on the dyno and see what we put down. And with it being every year, we can see what this change or that little change has done to improve our horsepower, someone else's horsepower. So
I love that, man. Hey, if our listeners want to get involved, or they're near you guys, or maybe they just want to chip in some donation money towards some of the really cool charity drive stuff that you guys do, how can people find you?
Look us up on Facebook, Diesels of Kansas City. We have a group and a Facebook page you can go like. I don't think the Facebook page has been very active lately, but if you go to the group and you request the group, it's going to ask you some questions. Make sure you fill those out so we can get you in there. And then we actually have a Snapchat that we're on probably 2-3 times a week, post everybody's rides up, videos and stuff. That's DOKC15.
Fucking awesome, man. Corey, what's the piece of advice you think every listener needs to hear?
Pertaining to what?
Well, generally diesel, because we're on the Diesel Performance Podcast. No need to give love advice, but if that's your thing, do you?
I don't know. Ask Joey. Know what you're getting into before you get into it.
Ooh, there you go. That's good. Joey, you got something better? You gonna one up him?
Not intentionally. I think the most important thing, one of our members actually made this point the other day on the group, saying, there's a lot of, where can I get this part the cheapest? And I think the most important thing to remember is you're going to get what you pay for, whether that's service, parts, tuning, whatever. So it's in your best interest in the long run to, save the pennies and pay the extra pennies for it, because if you have a weak link in your build, you're gonna find it.
Isn't that the truth of diesel, man? If you got a weak link, you're going to find it. Yeah, it'll show its ugly head at some point. Guys, I think it was so cool of you guys to come on the show and do this. I'm really excited. I really hope all of our listeners can maybe jump on and check out your guys' page. Jump on. Hey, if you can kick over a few bucks to some of the charity stuff that these guys are doing, I think they're making a real impact on a real person's life. And anytime we can get involved with that, I love it. Thank you to both so much. Corey, thank you for filling out the form and dragging Joey on the show with you. I think that was an awesome move. That's something I would totally do to one of my friends. So mad respect there.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having us on, man.
Not a problem at all. Guys, for today, this has been Paul Wilson. Thank you so much for listening.
Wow. A lot of responses currently.